So I already kind of went over LeBron James and his son. LeBron James won't let his son do him, right? And that is the thematic core of the film, of the entire film, right? That LeBron James is kind of a controlling father and he won't let his son do what his son wants to do. That's the thematic core, right? The importance of letting people be themselves. And as a thematic core, that is what the rest of the plot arcs, the rest of the story arcs in this movie need to be built upon. It is the thematic foundation upon which the rest of the movie is to be built. So from there, right, I asked the question, if Warner Brothers approached me to write this movie, what would I do? And ultimately, I feel I would do something very similar to what was done. Ultimately, I would make a movie, right? If we know for a fact that it needs to be a Warner Brothers, IP, like intellectual property, like free for all, the way that you do this is like I said, okay, so so getting to the point, right? The real movie like doesn't start until LeBron James meets Bugs Bunny, and LeBron James when he goes to Toonland, to Looney Tune Land, right? He meets Bugs Bunny, and it turns out that all of the other Looney Tunes have left. They've gone off to other places in the serververse in order, not really in order to accomplish anything, but that's the thing, right? So in what I feel would be a better version of this movie. And this is literally the change. This is the Nando v movies one thing that would literally save this entire movie. Like the movie would be like infinitely better, exponentially better if they made this one change. And the one change is
Zendaya in the lead role.
Is make Zendaya, I mean, she's already Lola, but you could have given her more. And this is how, right? The one change is make Bugs Bunny not the bad guy, right? But make Bugs Bunny responsible for the Looney Tunes leaving, right? When they go to Toonland and LeBron James notices that no one is there and that it's just Bugs, and he asks, kind of what happened? Like, where'd everyone go, right? Bugs Bunny should be responsible for everyone wanting to leave, right? Because ultimately, like when LeBron James shows up, and this is the part with the meme that everyone is sharing on Twitter, and it's painful because it's like, this is it. This is the part of the movie that it would have been such an emotionally potent moment. Because what we see, this is when he turns into like Big Chungus, and like what he's doing is he's like, do the rabbit season, duck season with me, like dress up as Elmer Fudd and chase me around, right? He misses his friends. That's what he's doing, right? And he's trying, now that there's someone else here, to get them to replace or to take the place of the friends that he's lost. But the change that I think needs to be made here is that the reason his friends ended up leaving is because they too had something else that they wanted to do, right? That the theme, the thematic core of letting people be themselves needs to be a part of the Looney Tunes subplot as well, or the Bugs Bunny arc. And the Bugs Bunny arc is that Daffy Duck, Lola Bunny, Wile E. Coyote, like all of the Looney Tunes are trying to self-actualize. Like they're trying to figure out who they are, or overcome some like adversity, right? And Bugs Bunny won't let them because he wants them to be the Looney Tunes. He wants them to be this thing. He wants them to do the rabbit season, duck season all the time. He wants them to, chase him around with a shotgun, right? He wants them to do the Looney Tune thing. And when Don Cheadle shows up and says to them, hey, there's a whole world out there, a whole universe of wonderful WB products that you can buy right now, audience. Like when he says that to them, it needs to come with the like, think of all of the things that you can be. You don't have to stay in Looney Tune land and do Looney Tunes things. You can go to DC land and be a superhero, Daffy. You can go to Rick and Morty land and learn to make machines, right? Wiley. And that's the biggest missed opportunity of this movie, and it's ultimately what makes the movie ring so hollow from an emotional standpoint. It rings hollow because they put product placement and showing off all of these WB movies above telling a good story. And the good story is not just to place, like, why is Wile E. Coyote in Mad Max land? And I get, like, oh, he's there because it's like a desert, but it's like, what does he get from being there? Like, what does he learn from being there? And it didn't really occur to me until the end of the movie, when they have the big basketball game and you have Granny doing the Matrix like shit, right? But that worked. Like, the joke worked because we saw that she went to Matrix land. And it's then that you realize, well, this is what the whole movie was supposed to be. This is what the whole movie was. The whole movie was supposed to be the Looney Tunes have separated. They've gone to all of these different Warner Brothers places to learn something. And the basketball game is their chance to showcase what they've learned, how they've grown, now that Bugs Bunny hasn't been there to kind of hold them back, right? And that's the parallel between Bugs Bunny and LeBron James. LeBron James isn't letting his son do what he's good at. He's not letting his son do him. Bugs Bunny isn't allowing the Looney Tunes to grow as people, and now they have the opportunity to do that, and this basketball game is where they get to showcase all of the things that they've learned and all of the things that Bugs Bunny has been holding, and that's what makes his sacrifice at the end of the movie. Spoilers, just in case you didn't know. But that's what makes that impactful. That's what makes that meaningful. But instead, they're all just put in these random places, and none of it ever comes back up again, right? So it's like, and that's the thing, because you can tell when you're watching the movie, they know that ultimately the thing that they need to do in order to win the basketball game is be true to themselves. They understand that this is where the arc of the movie, the narrative arc, needs to end, but they did none of the work to set up the narrative arc. So, for example, Wile E. Coyote at the end of the movie, Wile E. Coyote builds this big machine. It's like a cloning machine, right? And it's like he presses the button and throws a basketball in, and then it clones the basketballs, and it's like ba 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 ba, and then they like start making all these baskets, right? But the thing is, it's like, that's great for Wile E. Coyote, right? They're using something that we know about Wile E. Coyote, that he is an inventor, in the context of this battle, which is great, except for there's just one little problem. Wile E. Coyote's inventions never fucking work. That's the whole
that's
point.
what I was gonna say, yeah.
That's the whole point of his cartoon, is that his inventions always fail. So what do you do with that, right? Well, what you do is you give him an arc, right? This is the ending of an arc, and everything that happens in the basketball game should be the ending of an arc. So let's say Wile E. Coyote starts the movie, right? When Don Cheadle shows up and goes, hey, like, there's a whole world out there, right? It's like, Wiley, you can finally learn how to make machines that don't break all the time, right? That's something you want to do. Instead of going to Mad Max land, where he gains absolutely nothing, why doesn't he go to Rick and Morty land, where he can learn from Rick to build machines that actually work? And then when he builds the machine that actually works at the end of the movie, it's like, he did it. Like, this is a machine that worked. Like, Wile E. Coyote learned something, right? Lola Bunny goes to Wonder Woman land. That never comes up. As soon as they leave Wonder Woman land, she never brings up any of what she learned, right? But it's like, Lola Bunny, and it's like, again, it's like, once you make that change, once you make the Bugs Bunny change, once you go to Bugs Bunny, and have him be the force that kind of pushed everyone away, right? That it was kind of a his way or the highway thing, and everyone was like, well, what about us? What about what we want? What about what we want to do? What about what we want to get better at? What if we want to grow as people? And they go off to all of these Warner Brothers like places. Like, once you do that, the rest of the movie, it doesn't even need to change, and it writes itself. They're going to each place, convincing the people, like, look, I was wrong, all right, but we need your help, okay? He needs to get his son back, like, just this one time, like, can you help us, please? And you can have all of the goofy shenanigans in each place, but the places need to be meaningful to the characters that we see, you know, because obviously it'll go into montage eventually, because we don't have time to, like, do all of it. But it's like, if we're going to get Wile E. Coyote, if we're going to get Lola, like, the places need to be meaningful to them. And that's how you do it. Like, that's how you do one of these, like, weird product placement movies. And that's why Lord and Miller are so good at making these movies, because they understand that. When you see, like, Into the Spider-Verse, the reason why Into the Spider-Verse is one of the greatest movies of all time is because Lord and Miller don't just make a movie about Spider-Man. They make a movie about Spider-Man, like, as a concept. They make it about, like, who is Spider-Man? Who gets to be Spider-Man? What does Spider-Man mean to people? And they make a movie about the concept of Spider-Man that can sell you on the character without feeling like you're being advertised to. When they make Lego Movie, they don't just make a movie about Legos and how great they are. They make a movie about Legos, like, about the creativity, like, about how you feel, like, as a child, and about, like, you know, the dad, like, being all rigid and trying to make everything, like, stay in its place, and the kid, like, having that, like, imagination and trying to, like, put all the pieces together, or put all the sets together, and not really following the rules and, like, conformity. Like, they expand upon what they are given to make a movie that is about the thing, like, metatextually, while also, like, having themes that relate back to the thing. So it's like, if you're tasked with making a movie that involves all of these WB properties, pick properties that are important to the characters, and that's how you sell those properties to the audience. Instead, it's just a series of oh, remember Austin Powers? Oh, remember Casablanca? Remember this? And it's like, why are any of these people here? They aren't learning anything. Like, this doesn't matter to anyone. It doesn't matter to me because it has no narrative weight, and it doesn't matter to the characters because you're just picking random things and showing them to me. And it's like, this doesn't mean anything, but it could. And there's literally no reason why it shouldn't have. If they had, like, because it's like, okay, Lola Bunny goes to Amazon land, like Wonder Woman land, to be a stronger, like, this is exactly what. And after the whole, and now I'm just after the whole Twitter thing where Lola Bunny, you know, they changed the design, people were upset, yada yada yada, lots of sexism, and the director was like, well, we wanted to make her a stronger character. It's like, this is how you make her a stronger character, right? Like, you give her an arc. You give her an arc that involves her going to Amazon land, to Wonder Woman land, right? Learning to be a Wonder Woman in Amazonian, because she's tired of being in Bugs' shadow, or because she wants to step out and find her own character, you know, whatever it is. And when Bugs comes back for her, it's just like, listen, Bugs, like, we wanted more, right? You get that scene on the spaceship where it's just her and Bugs, and she can tell him to his face, like, we wanted more. We want more than to play second fiddle to Bugs Bunny, right? We want more than to do the fucking Rabbit Season, Duck Season. We want more than to do the Rabbit of Seville bit over and over and over again. Like, you never cared about what we wanted. You never let us do us, so we left. And now everyone is scattered across the WB verse because they all had higher aspirations. They all had things that they wanted to do, and we need to go get them to play this fucking basketball game and get LeBron James' son back, as is the movie. And from that, we can go to all of these different places, and there's a good narrative reason, and each person that we get back requires Bugs to progress in this arc. LeBron James sees Bugs progressing, and he himself progresses in his arc, so that by the end of the game, when we get to the, or by the end of the movie, when we get to the basketball game, the kid who is being like egged on by Don Cheadle, now has to confront a LeBron that understands the importance of letting people be themselves, because he saw Bugs go through that. But the kid is now super pissed at his dad because, you know, he's been out there not really knowing what was going on with LeBron. And then they can fight this in this basketball game, where the kid gets to show off, like, you know, this is why you should have been paying attention, right? If you had been paying attention to my video game, you wouldn't be getting your ass kicked, right? But instead of doing that, they don't do any of it. they introduce Bugs. They do this weird thing where it's like suspicious. Like, it's clear that he is like, because okay, like LeBron James is saying we need to get like the heavy hitters. We need to get like Superman, King Kong, like all of the big ones, right? But Bugs is like taking him to places to get the Looney Tunes, and it's like suspicious. Like, they play it off as it's like being like Bugs is obviously trying to get his friends back, and that's like, but then they never do anything with it, is the point. Like, that never goes anywhere, and then they just train for the basketball game, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just such a huge waste of potential. But it's like, this is what the movie was. So, for example, right, going back to the end of the movie, it's like, yeah, Lola Bunny never incorporates any of what she learned in the Amazon place. Porky Pig gets this weird rap battle thing, and there's a line in the movie where Daffy Duck hands Porky Pig the microphone, and when he hands Porky Pig the microphone, he says, "Show them who you really are, Notorious P.I.G." Is that a bad joke? God. Yeah, it's bad. It's a corny line, right? But that the line before that, ignore the Notorious P.I.G. thing, but the line before that, "Show them who you really are," is, I think, a vestigial part. I think that was a line that was left behind. And this is my big conspiracy. My big conspiracy is that that's a line that was left behind from a version of the script, where, from a version of the script that incorporated a lot of what I'm saying the movie was, because that line isn't connected to anything that happens before or after, but it only makes sense if there's an arc for Porky Pig that involves him learning how to rap. Like when he says, "Show them who you really are," the who you really are is Porky Pig doing him, right? So I don't know what WB properties involve rap music, but I bet he went to one of them and learned how to rap beforehand, and that was in the script, and then they got him from the place. And it would also, like, it would help with his stutter, it would help with his, like, lacking in self-confidence, and then when we get the rap battle at the end, it's like, show them who you really are. That's like an affirmation of something that we saw before, right? And then he raps, and it's like a big thing, because it's like, oh, he did it. Like, he overcame his anxiety. He overcame his stutter. He did the rap battle and won, right? But instead of that, it's just a thing that happens in the movie, and it means nothing. Like, it doesn't mean anything. It's not setting anything up or paying anything off. It's just a random thing that happens, and it's not connected to anything. But it could have been. It could have been, and it should have been. And that's what the whole movie should have been. The whole movie should have been each one of these Looney Tunes characters going to a WB place to learn something, to gain some piece of knowledge, or to grow as a person. Lola Bunny, like, becoming an empowered character. Wile E. Coyote learning to make machines that don't immediately break and kill him. Granny, like, learning to overcome her old age and learn all these, like, Matrix, like, time moves, right, with Speedy. And then you take the things that you learned, all of the things that you use to become more self-actualized people, and then you bring them to the basketball game, and then Bugs sees how you have grown without him, right, outside of Looney Tune land, and he understands, like, okay, I've been holding you back. I shouldn't have been so my way or the highway, and that's like the parallel with LeBron, and then it works. It just works. But
what does he do with LeBron in the actual movie? Like, what is the end like response?
I mean, he doesn't really do anything. So, like, yeah, they don't hammer any of this home. Like, we get the part where Don Cheadle, like, said, okay, they're all gone, but they don't do anything with getting the Looney Tunes. So when they go to each place, they just kind of get them, right? And that's the montage that people are sharing on the internet, where it like goes from Space Jam to Casablanca to all of these places, right? They just kind of show up and go, hey, we gotta go, right? And then they just go. But the thing is that there's no conflict, right? Like there's no persuasion like that is necessary. And even with Lola Bunny, who puts up the most resistance to it because she's like in the middle of something, like LeBron says, like, I need to save my son, and that's the thing that gets her attention, and it's never explained why. Like, why? Like, what about this is important to her? Like, that's the thing that gets her to go, wait a minute, what? You have to save your son? And then she goes back and like saves them because they're like dangling off a cliff also, and into like lava or whatever. And she, grabs them and saves them. But it's like never explained why it is that is what she like, that's the thing that convinces her. It's never explained why. But after that, it's just like them training for
There's a wasp on my neck. Holy shit.
Oh shit.
Sorry.
Are you outside?
Yeah, I'm in the Texas heat, and a wasp landed on my fucking neck.
Wow.
But I got it.
What do you mean got it?
I like immediately caught it, and before it did anything to me, and killed it.
Oh, okay.
So,
damn.
So sorry, but that was really crazy. Because I'm allergic to wasps. Anyway.
Wait, what? Oh shit. Okay. Well, you got it before it got you.
Like the Predator or
stood
something.
your ground. But yeah, like, so ultimately there kind of is no emotional arc, right? Like, there are no scenes of the Looney Tunes like speaking to each other, like, the thing that's missing is the thematic connection to LeBron's story. So like LeBron's story being, the one with his son, where he won't let his son like be himself, right? He won't be he does there's no connection from LeBron's story to Bugs's story. And the whole point of Bugs' story, right? That's like the story, basically, of the entire movie. Because the thing with the kid and Don Cheadle is the B plot. This is the A plot, is LeBron and Bugs getting these Looney Tunes back and preparing for the basketball game. So it's like, this is the story. The whole point of this arc is to get LeBron James to see that the value of letting people be themselves, and instead of doing that, they don't. So there's nothing, like, there's no, like, they completely drop the emotional core of the movie and the thematic core of the movie. The Kid and Don Cheadle, that's a movie. I want to watch that movie. But yeah, Don Cheadle and the Kid in Cyberverse, but they don't have that connection between the Bugs plot and the LeBron plot, which is the thematic core of the movie. So by the end of the movie, when they have to start paying off all of these like emotional beats, they have nothing. They don't have anything to do with them, because they didn't set any of it up or expand upon any of it like over the course of the second act. So for example, like, we talked about the actual game itself and how it would have been more interesting if each Looney Tune like was able to bring in something that they had learned from the place that they went to. But at the end, Then why am I seeing the same? Sorry, now there are people in chat talking to me. The value of being themselves. Then why am I seeing the same ad of Granny pouring a martini at halftime? What do you mean? Because that's a funny joke that they really want you to know is in the movie.
Wait, real quick, what's the name of your channel?
Oh, it's Amateur Planet.
Amateur Planet.
Do you not? You don't know my? You don't know my YouTube channel?
Oh, because I would if I wasn't going off benzodiazepines.
Oh, okay.
Because I can't remember anything right now.
Jeez, it's so hot. Okay. It's gonna get sweaty. It's gonna get sweaty real quick.
As it should in any Space Jam review.
Exactly.
Get sweaty.
if it's not, you're not doing it right. You're not reviewing a Space Jam movie right. If you're not getting sweaty.
Thunder Miho says, "Bruh, come on."
Yeah, I saw. I don't know what that means. They didn't really explain. That I choose to take those as words of affirmation. That they just agree with me so much, you know. But yeah, like, so at the end of the movie, right? Like the big emotional beat. What value does? Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Geez, I guess I've been talking for a bit, so you might not have been here, Eddie. But what I'm saying is that my primary issue with the film is that the core of the movie, the thematic core, is the value of letting people be themselves, right? Not even the value of being yourself, the value of letting other people be themselves. Because LeBron James as a character that's his thing. That's the thing that he needs to learn, right? That he's not letting his kid be himself, and he should, to be a good father, right? And what I'm saying is that the A plot is LeBron meeting Bugs Bunny. Oh, okay, gotcha. But the A plot is that LeBron meets Bugs Bunny, and what is I'm also assuming you've seen the movie. I hope you have, or else this isn't going to make much sense. But when LeBron meets Bugs Bunny and Bugs is in an empty Toonland, I'm saying that the movie itself doesn't do anything with that. But what it should have done, and what it very easily could have done, which is why the movie, it makes me upset a little bit, just because I'm triggered just a tiny little incy bincy bit, because it's like right there, and they didn't do it. But like Bugs Bunny is alone, and I'm saying that, well, I mean, the obvious thing to do would be to link the Bugs Bunny's arc with LeBron James, like with the LeBron James arc, and have Bugs Bunny also need to learn that he can't like pigeonhole people, that he needs to let people be themselves, and he needs to let people make their own decisions. So when LeBron James meets Bugs Bunny for the first time, like LeBron James, and I'm probably going to have to explain this a ton as people show up and go, why don't you like Space Jam too? But when LeBron James meets Bugs Bunny for the first time, Bugs Bunny is alone. All of the Looney Tunes left. Why did they leave? I'm saying that the reason they left was because they had higher aspirations. When Bugs and LeBron meet for the first time, Bugs, like, his initial reaction is, do this with me, right? Like, do the rabbit season, duck season with me. Dress up as Elmer Fudd and chase me around, right? Like, and he's taking him to all of these places, like he does the Rabbit in Seville bit, because that's, like, what he wants to do. He wants to just do all of the Looney Tunes shit with people. But the question, and the thematic core of the film, is, what if they don't want to do that, right? Like, what if the kid doesn't want to play basketball? What if the Looney Tunes have other things that they want to do? Give them a chance to leave the nest, basically, right, and explore all of these other options. And that's where the Warner Brothers bullshit comes in. That's when we start selling merch. All right, we got shit to sell. We can go to all of these Warner Brothers places. Now we have a reason, because the Looney Tunes are tired of being Looney Tunes. They want to do something else, right? Daffy Duck wants to go to Batman Land and be a superhero. Lola Bunny wants to go to Wonder Woman Land and be a Wonder Woman. Fucking Granny wants to go to Matrix Land and do the Matrix thing, right? They have other things they want to do, and Bugs Bunny can't stand it. He can't handle it, right? He wants to do the Looney Tunes thing, and he can only do that if they stay there. He can only do the Looney Tunes thing if he has other people to do the Looney Tunes things with. So he doesn't want them to go. He wants them to stay. And in doing that, right, he is doing what LeBron James is doing, right? That's the connection. The connection is he isn't letting them be themselves. He's not letting them leave and find new things and do new things and like grow as people. And for someone, Lola, that might be really discouraging, right? Which is why when we see Lola, they should have had that connection and had that talk, right? Of like, well, I don't just want to be like your like counterpart. I don't want to be in your shadow for the rest of my fucking life, right? Like, I want to do things. I want to do shit for myself, right? I want to learn how to be fucking Wonder Woman. And you're being controlling, right? You're being controlling. You're being my way or the highway. Like, they should have had that talk at some point in this movie of like, you understand why we left, right? Like, we left because you weren't letting us do us. And then LeBron James hears that and goes, hey, I'm not letting my son do him. Maybe there's like a lesson in here somewhere that I'm learning.
He never does that in the movie. LeBron James never does that. Like,
he does, but it's more of it doesn't really happen until the third act, right? It doesn't happen until he gets to the basketball court and they start playing the video game. But by that point, right? By that point, it's like, well, what was the whole second act for, right? Like, what arc were we building upon during the second act? And there kind of wasn't one. So it's like, if it's like all of this Warner Brothers bullshit, right? And then you get to the end and LeBron is like, wow, this video game's kind of cool. Is this what he was doing? Oh shit. And then he just kind of figures it out on his own, right? But it's like, no, the whole point of the third act is to pay off what we were spending the bulk of the movie, right? The second act, like, looking at, and we didn't. And it's not just about Bugs and LeBron. Like, there's all sorts of shit that we needed to pay off in the third act, because again, Bugs and like Bugs's arc never actually resolves because they never really give him an arc. But this is where the Bugs arc was supposed to resolve as well, because he is also meant to be seeing his Looney Tunes friends and going like, wow, like you're really different, like you've been outside of Looney Tunes land and you've learned all of these things and you've grown as people. And, you know, maybe at first it's like hard for him to accept, but then when he sees them play at the basketball game and he sees Wile E. Coyote build the machine and it works and it doesn't blow up in his face, and he sees Granny like show up, and she was useless in the last game, right? Like, she was in Space Jam 1, Granny didn't do shit, but now look at her, she's kicking ass, she's doing the Matrix shit. It's like, whoa, I appreciate, I have learned the value of letting you do things for yourself, do things outside of just like Looney Tunes stuff, right? The stuff that I want you to do. So it's like we have two arcs that needed to be completed, and neither of them, like, and that's the thing that sucks, is that they obviously understood that these arcs needed to be completed in the third act, which is why they gave Bugs Bunny the self-sacrificing moment, and that's why they gave LeBron James his like moment with the son, like talking, right? But those moments would have been so much stronger if they did anything during the second act. If we got to see like the talk between Bugs and Lola, that would, like, if we got to see LeBron like seeing Bugs learn this lesson, and then when we get to the end of the basketball, because they kind of have like a head-to-head moment, Bugs and LeBron, where he's like, no, fuck all of this video game bullshit. Like, we're just doing basketball. And Bugs can be like, no, like, see, this is the problem. This is what I had to learn, right? Like, what I had to learn was that you can't just put people in a box and like hold them there and like you can't do that. You have to let people do themselves. That's how we win. We win by being ourselves. I had to learn this over the arc, and now you have to learn it right now. And let us be loony. Let us do the crazy Looney Tunes bullshit that we want to do to win this basketball game, right? And then LeBron finally has to acknowledge it. And then he takes that lesson to his son and goes, I get it now. Like, now that we're winning because of the Looney Tunes bullshit, like, now that I understand, and I need to go to my son and say, listen, I wasn't letting you play video games and now I'm sorry, right? But instead, we didn't do that. What was your question?
Was just like, how did they treat that? Sorry, I'm watching you on the stream and you're still talking. I'm like, wait. Because it's lagging. But basically the question was just like, yeah, like how do they handle that at the end, you know?
Yeah, well, they make Bugs Bunny sacrifice himself, and this is like one of the like only callbacks in the entire movie, because like I said, like when the kid was showing LeBron James his video game, it's like a basketball video game that they copied the code into the serververse or whatever, however the fuck that works, and the code itself is it has this like glitch in it, and if you do a certain move in the game, it deletes you. Basically, it'll glitch out the game, but it'll delete the character. So they're like, we can do that move, glitch out the game to stop Don Cheadle from cheating, but whoever does the move and then score while he's like glitched, and then whoever does it gets like deleted, and Bugs is like, I'll do it, right? And it's like supposed to be this big emotional moment, but it isn't big or emotional because there was no arc. Like, it's a big emotional ending to an arc that doesn't exist. And the reason it doesn't exist is because of the thing that I've said now like 5 times, right? Like, they never attached Bugs's arc to LeBron's arc. So this isn't the ending of an arc. It's like, why are you doing it? I don't know. But also it's a complete and total fake out because he doesn't actually die. And it's like, I mean, obviously, right? But the idea is that he's supposed to have learned like his lesson, right? And his lesson was, I wasn't letting my friends, I was holding them back, I wasn't letting them do them, and now I am like sacrificing myself as a show of my acknowledgement and the fact that I have learned this over the course of the movie. But that's not what happens. He just kind of does it to win the basketball game, which is much less emotionally impactful as a motivation than if you had like this whole movie attached to why he is doing this, right? But the movie is it's like a complete and total waste of time, like, because they're so much more, which is weird because it's like, I feel like making a good movie is the best way to be an advertisement. You know, if you want the movie to be an ad for Warner Brothers shit, that's fine. But, you know, making a good movie is the best way to do that. And it's like, not even just that. Like, why are all of the Goon Squad, the villain basketball team, why are they... And this is why, like, like giving the Looney Tunes specific, like character specific places to go, like places that represent them as characters and represent what they want to achieve, what they aspire to, like giving them places like this to go to kind of opens up the door then for the Goon Squad being characters from those places, right? So you can continue the you know, the Warner Brothers ads that we're all watching, right? And the way you continue the Warner Brothers ad is by taking villains, a villain from Wonder Woman, right? A villain from whatever else, right? The Matrix or whatever, and then putting them as the people, the Goon Squad, right? So now it like ups the stakes because it's, you know, the people that, or it's the villains from all of the places that they've been to grow and to change and to do all of that, right? And now you have to beat them in a basketball game with LeBron James. But instead, it's like a bunch of random basketball players that I've never heard of mixed with like animals. And that like goes into another big problem with the movie. And that is that the visual effects are so, like, the word I use is like masturbatory. And I like don't use that word often because it's a nerd word, you know? but it's like that's what it is. The visual effects are masturbatory. It's like they're trying to waste money by using them.
It's always good.
It's like I'm watching a tech demo. Like every time they do like some big visual effects thing, I'm just like, oh my god! Like it's just really garish. It's garish and tacky, and like it doesn't do anything. It's just like a big like, look at all these visual effects, and it's like like I don't know. It's not like tastefully done. I guess I don't expect many people to to understand or to agree with me on that one, but that's how I felt.
So it's a pretty good movie, huh?
Yeah, no, I liked it. The I kind of want to listen to the soundtrack. Sounded good. There was a lot of trap beats in the soundtrack. I think I just got banned from Black and Animated Discord because they don't like that I didn't like the movie.
It's not, you're doing something right. When
Yeah.
you start getting banned.
When I start getting banned for saying, "Hey, I'm gonna be talking about this movie," yeah, they hit me with the ban hammer. So that's fun.
It's interesting that there's a ton of obviously there would be a ton of trap, but I know the two guys that I know who did the music and Chris Bowers, who I know by those two guys, it was like the least trap people.
Oh, well, that's what I was saying. Like, they have a soundtrack to sell. Like, there isn't. So, like, the soundtrack, right? Or it's going to be like all of these songs, like, that are on the album, right? Because they have like a soundtrack, like, with like Chance the Rapper, like, like of rap music, basically. So it's like if you're
I
doing.
don't want to hear that.
Yeah. Like, there's like one with like, I think it's Chance the Rapper and Kirk Franklin. Like, so it's like when they say they were doing the music for it, I assume they mean like.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting that they choose those two.
Because they're the Christian people, yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like the narrative in Space Jam 2 is like about something that is going on in the Black community, which I only know this because, like I've worked on this documentary that's talking about it, which is Exodus from religion. And that's happening in Africa and Nigeria, that's a big
Is it?
SARS thing. Yeah, a lot of the youth are breaking from the tradition, breaking from their parents, from the Christian tradition over LGBTQ rights and women's
Africa?
rights. And in Africa, yeah, that's a huge thing that's going on right now.
Okay.
Among a lot of, because a lot of Africans, especially in places like Nigeria, are going international. They're getting these different perspectives, and they're just seeing, getting the internet and seeing other, they've had the internet, but like they're, there's a big exodus, and then what's going on, and that same thing is kind of, going on in Black America. There's like an exodus from Christianity,
Sure. I mean, it's my understanding that the exodus isn't as severe in the Black community, that we're kind of lagging behind. Like,
well, yeah, you've been lagging behind because 8 out of 10 white Americans were Christian before the 60s, and then in the 60s since to now, like half of them have left. Only 40% of white Americans are Christian, and 80% of Black Americans are Christian. But now the same level of decline is happening in Black America, and it's because of LGBTQ
like social
rights
issues.
and social issues. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's probably why in this movie, LeBron James is like, it's not, he doesn't ever mention the Bible, I'm sure, but like, you gotta stay, yeah. Like in Space Jam, he's just like, the Lord said,
yeah.
But like,
and the kid's like, I don't care.
Yeah, but like, yeah, it's something that's happening, so that's makes sense why that would be the narrative. And they're trying, it's like, obviously, trying to get
young black people interested in tech, and and that's already something that's also happening,
Right.
a lot, like, so yeah, it's just interesting that they would have Chance the Rapper and Kirk Franklin,
Yeah.
you know.
I'm just assuming it's it might not be, but they had a bunch of other people on there too. Here, let me see if I can find that song. Where's Kirk Franklin? Oh, sorry. It's even weirder. Chance the Rapper is on the album, but not with Kirk Franklin. Sorry, it's Little Baby and Kirk Franklin is what I meant to say.
Okay.
So that makes more sense.
I gotta hear that, because like I'm not really sure how that would sound, but like Chance the Rapper and Kirk Franklin, like that would
That
work
makes
so
sense.
well.
Yeah, that makes too much
Yeah.
sense. That's why they didn't do it. But no, I actually kind of want to listen to this. I kind of want to listen to this soundtrack. There are a lot of good names on here. Like, yeah, the Chance the Rapper one is with John Legend, and but you got like Lil Uzi, you got the Jonas Brothers for some reason, you got Lil Tecca and Amine. There's one with there's Brockhampton, you got Corday and Duckworth, you got Big Frida, like Joyner Lucas, like.
Okay, so it seems like they have just the whole spectrum, like Brockhampton is like on the other side of that, and then like Chance the Rapper, so they're just trying to get everybody involved,
Yeah. And like the songs that they were playing in the movie sounded really good. So, like, I don't know. I guess it does kind of worries me, just a little bit, the idea of kind of using trap music like kind of as like these villain songs, like just because it's, I don't know, just like a scary black youth kind of thing, and like using that like to be like, oh yeah, oh boy, like you're using that like emotional trigger, like I feel like to and putting that onto the villain, where it's just like, oh, he's doing something bad, and the next time you hear trap music, like, I'm not saying it's like making people racist, but I feel like it's playing on the internalized racism that people might have.
Yeah, and they did that with Black Panther too,
Right.
like obviously, and done that with a few like movies. Like the villain theme is like trap for some reason,
Yeah.
just
It
out
just
of
sounds
nowhere.
villainous, I guess. But yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's pretty much it. See, that wasn't that long. Is that yeah, it's only been like an hour.
Yeah, okay, that's good. That's a good amount of time. Yeah.
And that's why I didn't like Space Jam. I'm trying to think, are there any other like major points that I had with it? Because yeah, like that's pretty much it. It's just like I don't understand how, like, because it's like, yeah, I don't know, like, and if you see the movie, it's literally just like this movie works, like the movie that I am describing, it's literally the same movie, it just works better. Like it's just all of the like all of the narrative threads are tied up, like all of the arcs like reinforce the themes, and the movie is bad to me. And I mean, I feel like I can say with relative confidence with that it is like they pretty objectively failed in what it is that they were trying to do. Like if you watch the movie, it's just like, well, they were very clearly meaning to go somewhere with this, and then they just didn't do it, even though it would have been really, really easy for them to, but they didn't. And it's very strange to me. I left the movie very confused. I was thinking about seeing another movie, but then I didn't. And it sucks because
Yeah.
it's like this is exactly what happened to Space Jam 1. Like the first Space Jam had a thematic premise, and it was the same thematic premise, which is why it's so weird that they dropped the ball, no pun intended, so badly here too, because it's the same premise of a father in Michael Jordan who is putting baseball on his son who doesn't want to play but that wasn't important, so they just dropped that. And then after the first act, it never comes up again, because we're too busy following Charles Barkley or whatever. But now in this movie, it's like they do the same thing, right? You have a father and his son wants to do something else. Father doesn't want him to, but then they just draw, like they do better at holding on to that as a theme, because it's the B plot is the kid and Don Cheadle. But they don't do anything in the A plot to reinforce LeBron's journey, in terms of learning what he needs to learn, which is, letting the kid be himself, because Bugs Bunny doesn't learn to let the kid be. Yeah, it's
Yeah, he just learns from the video game.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, if you make cool video games and get cool tech jobs, then your dad will love you.
Then he'll support you. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, that would have been part of it anyway, but it's like, it's just the fact that that was the only thing. And it's like, we had to sit through so much of the Warner Brothers stuff, and it's just like, no, like, I don't know, I don't want people and I mean, maybe I do, but I don't want people walking away from this thinking like, oh, that was bad because it was like obviously Warner Brothers trying to sell their properties. It's like that's like, because if they had done a good job of it, right? Like if they had picked character specific places that meant something to the Looney Tunes that went there, and like really played up the story of Space Jam, like the narrative aspect of it, like it would have worked. Like it would have, I think this could have been a movie at the level of like the Lego movie. Like I think it could have been a movie that like actually paid off all of its emotional beats, like actually like wrapped up all of its thematic connections well, and I feel like people would have seen it as, because it's like LeBron James is definitely a better actor than Michael Jordan, and it's like the kid actually wasn't a very good actor. The kid was probably the worst actor in the movie, and putting him with Don Cheadle was probably a bad I mean, it's not that it was a bad idea, but the kid could have been doing more, just because Don Cheadle was really, I don't want to say overacting but he was hamming it up a little bit, and the kid was kind of underacting. So it's like putting them together, it's like these two extremes, and it's like really noticeable. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well,
any further questions?
No, that's, I mean, I don't know much about Looney Tunes, or, I mean, I just watched obviously, I know about Wile E. Coyote, and when I heard Clone Factory, I was like, that sounds like way out of his pay grade. I mean, generally he just has like a thing that releases and hits somebody on the head. You know what I mean? Like,
It's not like a whole factory. It just copies things, but it does copy him. He falls into it, and it copies him too.
Oh, he's so successful that he does it on itself. Wow.
Yeah. It's it's him this time though, not the machine. The machine works. He just falls into the machine.
It just seems like a lot of opportunity lost, because they had so much like crossover, like all the Looney Tunes,
right?
All these Warner Brothers, like they could have done something like incredible with it, like you said, probably better than the Lego movie, I would say, but I guess they were, with a lot of these movies, they maybe don't take, I guess, so much time on them. They're just like, we need to remake Space Jam, and we're going to have bare minimum Looney Tunes stuff, and then we're going to get this generational thing that's going on in the community with our data scientists found, and I mean,
it's like, because like my conspiracy is that like Ryan Coogler and Insev O'Donian, I don't know if I remember his name, the guy that wrote Searching and was the executive producer of Jesus and the Black Messiah, like they were going to co-write the script together, and something happened. Something happened, and now they haven't even gotten they don't have a story credit or a screenplay or a screenwriting credit. Like, they've been completely axed from having written it, and I feel like that has something to do with it. I don't know what yet, but I feel like it has something to do with it, because it's like I said, like, all of the pieces are there, everything that they need to have made this a good movie, like literally down to the premise, is there. Like the premise of the Looney Tunes being scattered and them needing to go to each place to get them back. Like, all of that is there, and if you just take the theme that you already have established and apply that to the Bugs Bunny arc, like, there's your movie. You did it. So the fact that everything is there except for them actually kind of fulfilling the promise of the premise is very strange to me. I don't understand, like, because I feel like a lot of people are just going to leave the movie and think, well, that sucked, like, that was kind of a mess. Or, even worse, they'll think, well, that was fun. I like that. And they'll leave. But it's like,
and then the standard just gets lower.
I mean, the standard is whatever. Like, it's not so much about the standard getting lower. It's about, like, not thinking about, like, just why am I scratching my arm on everyone can see me scratch my arm on the camera. But it's about the standard, it's not about the standard. It's about, like, people leaving and not thinking about how things could have been better. And not seeing, like, that there are so many, like, thematic connections and emotional moments and, like, even, like, comedic moments that we could have gotten that were right there, and they didn't do that, so that we could see Sylvester the cat, like, in Austin Powers. And it's like, but I don't know. Yeah, it's frustrating. It's really frustrating to see, especially because I was, like, excited for the movie, because I thought it was going to be good. And it's like, wait, there's a good movie here that was beaten by something that was like chopped up and now it's not. It's just not anymore. It wasn't good. Sad.
Well, well, I guess we have to wait until the third one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're probably going to be making a third one too. And it's like, geez, I don't know. Because, like, they end off on, like, you think Bugs Bunny dies, but he actually is in Hollywood, in LA, with LeBron James, and he brought everyone with him. And it's like, what? How the fuck does that? That doesn't make any sense. Like, how does that work? How do you go from, like, oh, he sacrificed himself, he's dying, to actually, I'm still alive and I brought all my friends? It's like, how did...
So now they want, it's like every goalpost they have for, like, Black America. It's like, all right, you guys need a program and you need to go to Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's like every time they need.
I mean, LeBron James just lives there, I think, but.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do, but.
You lived there once.
I did, yeah. It's an interesting place. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Yeah.
Texas is different.
Different than LA?
Yeah, it actually is, contrary to, like, popular belief.
Huh.
Obviously I'm not on health insurance because Medicaid here is completely gutted. So you have to basically be like a dying mother of 3 veteran.
Not a dying mother of 2.
Yeah, like, so I'm not on health insurance, and then the homeless population here needs to sometimes pay $10 a night to stay at a homeless shelter.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it's really bad. There was actually I don't know, that's a really dark.
Okay. Well, I guess I don't know. That's pretty much it. That's all I have to say about Space Jam. Live stream here. But it's like, I feel like the actual criticism is, it would be one thing if it was hollow criticism, where I was just like, the movie sucked. Wow, I can't believe he turns into Big Chungus. Wow, it was Rick and Morty in the movie. I hate this movie. And then I just, okay, thanks everyone, bye. But it's like, like I've obviously put an amount of thought into this, and like how or why it's bad and how it can be fixed and how it could be fixed without even changing the movie. Like it's literally just the same movie, but they, you know, do the movie part, they do the storytelling part. So I don't know. I feel like
I think it is that everybody's been inside. It's been COVID.
Okay.
And this is one of the first, you know, like big, like
that people
everybody's gonna go see this movie.
Yeah.
Escapism, you know, and they're just like, after fucking, you know, a year of plus of COVID, and
Right.
it's still not really over. They're just like, fuck it, you know, it's fine, you know, like.
Yeah, and then I show up and I'm just like, actually, the movie could have, because this is what I've been waiting for. I've been waiting to go to a movie and think about it. They just want to and see a movie. This is literally the first movie I've seen in theaters, like, since everything shut down. And I mean, you know, is it good? No. Is it going to be better than... I can't wait until I'm doing one of these about the Clifford the Big Red Dog movie. That'll be great. I can't wait for that shit.
You know, it would have been funny if, like, the Notorious Pig thing, if, like, Pig started rapping, he was like, when I die, fuck it, I want to go to hell.
He's
And the other guy, the guy who says,
he's like, whoa.
Notorious P.I.G. is like, plays Diddy or whatever. Like,
right.
hey, yo, Pig.
Yeah, they need
Hey, yo,
to
chill.
come up with a... But yeah, one of my notes was Lola had better be a strong character. After all the bullshit that we got, like Lola had they have to have something to do with Lola, right? Like, what are they going to do with her? Especially like they spent that Zendaya money getting a big famous Zendaya... getting Zendaya to voice Lola instead of like a voice actress, right? So it's like, okay, do something with her, right? They didn't do anything with her. Like they did nothing. She has nothing. She has no arc. And the big takeaway, as I was saying before I got distracted, so Phil, we'll get to you later. The big takeaway, right, is that they had everything that they needed to make this a good movie. One, we should not settle. We shouldn't settle for things just because it's a kids movie. The Newbie Ranked series, the idea, like, keep in mind it's still a kids movie. I feel like we're kind of talking... like the people, it's, look, this is going to be a really off the wall like comparison, but it's almost like the Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter thing. That's the first thing that comes to my head, is where it's like you hear people say all lives matter and it's like that's not what we're talking about here. Like that's not, you're not responding to the complaint. So when people are like, it's a kid's movie, it's like, that's not the problem. The problem is that the story could be better. And there's nothing about it being a kid's movie that means the story can't be better. Like, lots of kids' movies have good stories. That's what you do when you want to make a movie and you want it to be good. Like, you make a movie that's good, right? Like, you tell a story and the story has parts to it. Like, that's why, like, when you're writing for preschool, like, preschool is like one of the, it's like some of the hardest stuff to, because you need like just a really, really, really like firm grasp on like narrative beats, because you don't have the luxury of like subplots and like all of this other stuff. Like, there are no bells and whistles. It's just this is what they want, this is what they do to get it, right? And this is what the message is, and the message needs to be like front and center, right? They don't go, it's kids shit, who fucking cares about whether or not it makes sense narratively, right? Like, you have to know like storytelling, right? It's not like I'm like, the biggest problem with Space Jam 2 is that there needs to be more cocaine and there weren't enough titties. Where are the tits at? Like, it's like, then it's like, hey, it's a kids movie, there are limitations. But I'm not like I'm not saying like, there weren't enough strippers. Like I wanted Bugs Bunny to go to the strip club. Why didn't what's a WB thing that's for adults? I don't know. I'm trying to think, but I can't. You know what I mean? Like my problem with the movie isn't that it wasn't adult enough. My problem with the movie is that it wasn't good. Like the story wasn't complete. They didn't complete the story. And it's just like old times. Like the biggest problem with the movie the biggest problem of the movie, to sound like super nerdy and technical, is that there is a thematic, exactly, and then Lola Bunny can have gone to rehab twice, and she married, or she was gonna marry Bugs, but then she sold the ring for crack money or whatever. But the biggest problem with the movie, to put it as succinctly as I possibly can, is that they do not, in the second act of the film, I think they do a fine enough job in the first act setting everything up. I was actually blown away in the first act by how it looked. Like it looked really great, and that was like the camera quality, I guess, but also like just the directing, the cinematography, and even the acting of like young LeBron and like him and his mom, like that was all really, really good. Calling back to, of course, the first Space Jam movie, starting out with his dad, right? All of that was fine. I could have done without the magic video game stuff. I don't really understand what that was, right? When he throws the Game Boy away and it kind of glitches back on, and it implies that there's something up with it, and it's like what now having seen the whole movie, it's like what exactly was it? Something to do with, right, like because he was playing a Bugs Bunny game, and it's like, okay, but I mean obviously the Game Boy isn't magic and it's not connected to the internet, so I don't exactly understand what that was. Like is every piece of Bugs Bunny merchandise like magic or what? I don't know. They don't do anything with it, so I don't really understand what the point of it was. Just toss it, right? Just throw it away, and we feel bad because he couldn't play video games or whatever. But yeah, the I said I was going to be succinct. I'm not being succinct, but like the most succinct way I can put this is that they do the first act fine. The second act, they didn't tie. There are two things happening, right? You have LeBron James and you have Bugs Bunny. And the movie, right, the bulk of the movie in a better world would be that the Looney Tunes have, by their own volition, chosen to leave Looney Tune Land and explore the wonderful world of Warner Brothers Entertainment. They all go to a different Warner Brothers property, land, right, like a whole planet dedicated to that thing. And now Bugs and LeBron need to go to each place and collect the Looney Tunes, and get them to play this basketball game so that LeBron James can get his son back from Don Cheadle. Now the biggest issue with the film is that, and the ultimate like failing of it, is that it does not link the Bugs story arc to the LeBron story arc in the second act. And that leaves the third act with nothing to expand upon, with nothing to pay off. So we start getting all of these emotional beats, all the emotional beats you would expect in the third act of a movie, but with absolutely none of the buildup. And so, for example, and this is when I start repeating myself, Adam. So, I'm just letting you know that you don't have to stay here for this.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna go to bed.
Because I don't want you to. Because now I can feel it. I'm starting all over again. Oh, sorry. No, you're right. In the first movie, they didn't either, and that is also a problem in the first movie. But here's the thing. The thing that sets the second movie apart from the first movie is that, unlike the first movie, unlike the second movie, what the first movie had that the second movie doesn't have is that the first movie doesn't remind us of it all the time, right? When the first movie, so when I say that they aren't tying the Bugs arc to the LeBron James arc, I mean that we have kind of up here or down here, I don't know. What we have is a thematic core. And the thematic core is the idea of the value of letting people be themselves, right? The way they put it in the movie is you have to let the son, right? He's like, you don't let me do me, right? That's it. That's the core of the movie. That's the thematic core of the movie. And that is the foundation upon which the rest of the movie is to be built. Now, in the first movie, they have that, but they don't hammer it enough to make it like it is, but it isn't, because they immediately give up on it, right? So when we have Michael Jordan and his father, right, it's set up, and I think it's set up very well, that Michael Jordan's goal here, right, in quitting basketball, in starting to play baseball, and in putting baseball onto his son and making his son play baseball, right? He's doing all of this to make his father proud. His father is dead now, and he says, like, you know, like, he's not alive to see me do this, but I'm doing it for him. And from that, right, the arc is one that, and like, just to be 100% clear, the reason that this is happening is because, if you are familiar, I always forget, it's like Leo Benvenuti and Timothy Harris, I want to say. These are the two that wrote like the Santa Claus. They wrote like a Kicking and Screaming, that Will Ferrell movie from like the early 2000s, I think like 2003, I want to say. And they do movies that are about kind of like generations of men primarily, right? Like father-son stuff. And the father kind of, you know, like in Santa Claus, like he kills Santa, becomes Santa, ruins Christmas, right, for his kid. I think he had also just gotten divorced. So it's like now he needs to make up for that. He needs to make up for the fact that he ruined Christmas for his son. By doing Christmas as Santa Claus, right? And in this one, it's, you know, the father is forcing baseball onto his son because he thinks it will make his father, who is dead now, proud. And in that, there is an arc. There's a very clear arc, right? Not to do that, basically, right? Not only does he stop playing baseball, get back into basketball, but the idea, I would assume, of the movie, of the first Space Jam, is that we want Michael Jordan to learn that he shouldn't be forcing his kid to do something that he doesn't like just because it's what he thinks his father would like, because his father is already proud of him and he doesn't need to like prove anything, right? And there should be something. But the point is that they don't even, like, the B plot isn't about the kid. It's about like all the other NBA players. So you kind of forget about that, which means that when you're in the A plot with Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny, like, you don't need to tie their stories together because there is no emotional arc that is being, you know, hammered upon, right? That's being called back to, right? But in Space Jam 2, the B plot is following that thematic through line. It's following the kid and Don Cheadle's character, Al Rhythm. So you're constantly reminded of what the emotional stakes are. So when we cut back to the A plot and we see Michael Jordan, or I mean, not Michael Jordan, LeBron James hanging out with Bugs Bunny in the second movie, it reminds us of kind of how emotionally hollow the film is, because they aren't doing anything. Like, they're preparing for the basketball game, but the actual arc in terms of like the moment to moment, like scene by scene, is not it isn't going anywhere. It isn't building upon anything. It isn't linked, like the arc, the Bugs arc and the LeBron arc aren't both linked to the thematic core of the movie that has been so well established, and is going to be paid off on, right? Like, at the end of Space Jam 1, it's kind of like, and if I could, like, I think the thematic core of Space Jam 1 is like, it's in a sense like, don't let, I don't know, I guess I haven't thought about this as much, but it's like, it's something along the lines of like not letting people like step on you, or like knowing your own worth, something like that. Because you have like Wayne Knight's character, Stan Podalark, you have the Moron Mountain monsters, right, or the Monstars, the Nerdlings. Like, that's like the, like, of all the emotional beats in the whole movie, like, I feel like that's the one that gets hit on the most. And I feel like you could have taken that and tied it into Michael Jordan's arc. It doesn't matter because there is no arc. Like, that's the biggest problem with Space Jam 1, is that there are no arcs. There are no character arcs. There are no emotional arcs. The biggest one that gets paid off is the Nerdlings going, hey, we don't have to take this from you, right? And stuffing Danny DeVito into a rocket and shooting him back to Moron Mountain. But for the most part, there aren't really many character arcs. And I feel like you would need to add a lot more to that movie in order to make it work. But with Space Jam 2, you don't really have to add anything. All you have to do is what they, like, the thing that they set up, you build on it, you expand on it, you grow the characters over time, and then you end up with a movie that makes sense and like has a story that works, right? And that's why I say, like, the biggest problem with the movie is that they don't link the Bugs, like, storyline, the Bugs arc, to the LeBron arc. They don't, and they can. That's like the big thing. That's the big takeaway, is that they had all of the pieces at their disposal, and they didn't do anything with it. And that's like the reason that I didn't like the movie. So for example, like, we can talk about, like, we could talk about Lola Bunny, we could talk about Wile E. Coyote. Like, the arc of, like, the Bugs Bunny arc, is that when Al G Rhythm, when LeBron James shows up, Al G Rhythm is Don Cheadle, but when LeBron James shows up to Toonland, he notices that Bugs Bunny is there all by himself. He's everyone else is gone. All the other Looney Tunes are gone, and and this is the scene that's like been shared all over the place on social media. The part where he turns into Big Chungus, right? That's actually a really important part of the movie, because it shows what Bugs is like, where Bugs is right now in his arc, right? And he's in denial. That's where he is in his arc. He is in the denial phase of his arc, and as we all know, denial isn't just a river in Utah. But, like, what he's doing is he's trying to get LeBron James, and, you know, it's obvious in the clip, I think, that he's trying to get LeBron James to take the place of all of his friends that have abandoned him, that have left him behind. And in order to do that, like, he's putting the Elmer Fudd, he's like, chase me around with the shotgun, right? Like, do the rabbit season, duck season thing with me. He's taking him to the Rabbit of Seville, like, barbershop. And in the movie, it does kind of read as, oh, I get it, like, you know, the meme and all of that, right? But in the context of the film, what he's doing is trying to get LeBron to replace, like, these friends, right? He wants to do the Looney Tunes thing, but he's realized that without anyone else here, like, he can't do the Looney Tunes things that he wants to do. They're all dependent on someone else, and all of the people are gone. Well, why are they gone? Where did they go? Don Cheadle showed up and told them, you know, there's a whole big world out there, a whole world filled with Warner Brothers products and Warner Brothers movies, and you can explore it and you can see it, right? And this is the main thing about the movie. The main thing about the movie is that's where it stops. It stops with, these places exist and you can go to them. But that's not what the movie needs. What the movie needs is, one, conflict for the second act, but it also needs to tie it back to the thematic core of the film, right? The thematic core of the film is that our main character, LeBron James, will not let his son do him. He won't let his son be himself, right? And in order to tie Bugs Bunny's arc to LeBron's arc, you make Bugs Bunny a parallel to LeBron James. So what you do is you take Bugs Bunny and you say, well, the reason the Looney Tunes all left isn't just because Don Cheadle showed up and said, hey, like there's a whole world out there. It's because they felt pigeonholed in Looney Tunes land, that they have higher aspirations. The Looney Tunes have like higher aspirations that they wish to attain, that they have other things that they want to be doing than just the rabbit season, duck season thing all the time. They have other things that they want to be doing than chasing him and hunting rabbits for the rest of their lives, right? And Bugs Bunny, recognizing that this is a threat to his existence, stops them from doing that. He's like, no, you can't leave. We have to stay here. We have to do this, right? And they're like, Bugs, this is your problem, right? And this is the movie, right? Because this is what LeBron James's problem is, right? The problem is that it's always your way or the highway. We're always doing what you want to do and never what we want to do. You're the protagonist of this whole thing, right? And you don't care about what we want to do. When's the last time Tweety did anything? You know, when's the last time Sylvester did anything, right? Never. They never do anything. It's always you. It's always you and sometimes Daffy, but mostly you. And then they leave, right? They all find a new place to explore and a new thing to do. And that's important because now the arc for Bugs and the arc for LeBron are the same arc. So they have a reason to work together. Bugs wants to get his friends back. LeBron wants to get a basketball team for the basketball game so that he can get his son back. And now we have a movie, and the movie is us going to each one of these wonderful, wonderful, lovely, beautiful Warner Brothers property worlds, and making a bunch of dumbass references in each world, and this is the thing, right? There's a narrative reason for it now. There's a reason for it that aids the arcs of both of these characters. So it's not just that we're getting the Austin Powers reference or the Casablanca reference or the Mad Max reference or the Matrix reference or whatever, right? It's serving the story, so we forgive the movie for being a blatant advertisement for Warner Brothers because the movie is telling a story. It's telling a story. And instead, they didn't do that, and it was bad. So it's like when we go to when we go to Amazon Land, Wonder Woman Land, and we see Lola Bunny, this is a big thing, right? Because as we all know, Lola and Bugs have a thing going on. So it's like for Lola to have left, something big must have happened, right? So I actually, I have a theory about that. The question was, did Space Jam 2 go through some sort of development hell? And the answer is yes, it definitely did. Just in terms of, like, they've been wanting to make a sequel to Space Jam since the first Space Jam, right? They changed directors a few times, and they changed writers a few times. And it's like, I'm not entirely sure about the specifics. I guess I can take these off. I'm not talking to anyone. I don't know why I'm wearing these still. I think they're heavy. They're hurting my back a little bit. But they keep me focused. They're like blinders. But yeah, it did go through a development hell. They've been wanting to make a Space Jam 2 since the first Space Jam movie. They wanted to make one with Tiger Woods, I think. They wanted to make one with like Jackie Chan called Spy Jam. They wanted to make one Race Jam with like some race dude that I don't remember the name of. That one probably would have been good. I would have seen Race Jam. So it's like they've been wanting to make this movie for a while. And then when they finally got the chance, I actually think they approached LeBron James before he started acting, because he was, kind of at the height of his popularity. And he was like, I don't know, I can't act, right? But then he started acting and he's like, okay, I think I'm ready. So as far as the director was Terrence Nance, and then he left. And they got Malcolm D. Lee because they changed producers. You wanted them to use Shaq? I don't know if they would have. I don't know. I don't know about Shaq. I definitely think, like, as far as like basketball players who are also actors, like LeBron was probably the best bet. Unless, yeah, like, but yeah, like it was Terrence Nance. He left. Ryan Coogler became the producer, brought on Malcolm D. Lee. But at the time, Ryan Coogler and his friend from USC, Sev Ohanian, I want to say. He's Armenian. He's the guy that wrote Searching, the John Cho movie. That was really good. He also was the executive producer of Jesus and the Black Messiah. So that guy and Ryan Coogler, the guy that did Black Panther, that did Fruitvale Station, that did Creed, they were going to write Space Jam 2 together. And that's why I was really excited about this movie. I thought it was going to be like, it's like, even if it wasn't great, it's just like the level of talent. And it's like, this guy, he doesn't do like Sev, like he doesn't do like big budget like things, right? Like he's still doing like really small budget, really personal. Like, I don't know. I was really excited to see what it was that they were gonna like put together. But now when you look at the writing credits, they're gone. Like Ryan Coogler doesn't have a credit, Sev doesn't have a credit. It's like 6 guys, and 4 of them have one of them is Terrence Nance, which is kind of a red flag to me because he was the director that got booted. So it's like, okay, they didn't change the script from like, because he still has a writing credit. And then there are 2 extra ones that have screenplay credits that don't have story by credits. And you look at their like resume, and it seems to me like they were brought on maybe as punch-up writers or like to help with the comedy, because they're all from like television, like, and like one of them is from like Inside Amy Schumer, and stuff like that. So it's like, I feel like they were brought on like for comedy, and then the other ones either had a writing credit for what the script was before the switch in directors, or was brought on after Coogler became the producer, and but and then there's the actual script itself, and it does feel to me, just because the arc is there. Like you can kind of, it's like when a Burger King shuts down or something, like when a Burger King shuts down and they get rid of the sign, but you can still look at the building and tell that there was a Burger King here, right? Like, it's like the arc was there and then they removed it. Like the arc was there, like all of the pieces to make this movie good were there, and then they didn't do it. But they're absent, like the ghost, the shadow of the arc was there, is like still present, and you can see it. So yeah, like I was saying, like linking Bugs Bunny's arc to LeBron James's arc, and it's like really easy to do. You kind of just do it by giving them similar goals or having them come from similar places, and this is a very kids movie thing to do. So it's like, I don't know. Yeah. But when they go to Lola Bunny, right, she's in Wonder Woman land, and it's like, that's fine for her. I honestly kind of wish she went to Matrix land instead, but that's fine. She went to Wonder Woman land. And in Wonder Woman land, she's trying to pass the test to becoming a Wonder Woman, an Amazonian. And she passes. But like, I guess I feel like, in order, one, to make Lola a strong character, it's almost like Toy Story 4, the best Toy Story movie. When we see Bo Peep again for the first time in the movie, and it's like, Bo Peep, like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I am living my life, and it's great, right? And you have this like difference, like in philosophy and worldview. It's like when we meet Lola, it's like there's never a moment in the movie where Lola does the thing that we would expect in a movie like this, right? Where her and Bugs have a heart to heart and talk about like, hey, you know why we all left, right? Like we left because you wouldn't let us be ourselves. Like it was always your way or the highway. It was always like, oh, do rabbit season, duck season. Oh, do the thing where you chase me around with a, you know, it was always about you and never about us. Like it was always about you like holding on to this like Looney Tune thing and not about us like growing as people and like doing what we want to do. And that's why we all left. We all went to different places, right? Because we wanted to see what like our characters are, you know? And that's like, that's the arc. Like that's the arc. That's Bugs Bunny's arc. But obviously it's also LeBron James's arc. Like his arc is that, but with his son. And the whole point of the A plot, I don't have kids and I'm having a great time, Bo Peep. Yes. But the whole LeBron James arc in terms of the second act and in terms of the A plot is to witness the Bugs arc and learn from it so that when we go into the third act, he has now, like, you know, he has that one more step that he needs to really break through, right? Because he has that run-in with Bugs where it's just like, LeBron, you're not letting us, like, we, you know, what was the whole fundamentals thing, right? Like, this isn't about the fundamentals. You have to let us be us. That's how we win this game. And, like, really pushing LeBron to then, like, do that, right? They show not only... It's not just about them being themselves, because again, we have a dual like arc here, right? It's about Bugs and LeBron. So it's not just that they win the basketball game by being themselves. It's that they win the basketball game by being their, you know, their true selves. Not just using their Looney Tunes powers, but using what they learned from having traveled, by having left their Looney Tune land and gone. And that's what they do it. The only one they really do it for is Granny, of all people, because we see that she was in the Matrix place, right? And then during the basketball game, she's like, oh, I'm old. And then she gets onto the thing and she does a bunch of Matrix shit. And it's like, oh, I get it, because you were in the Matrix land. They don't do it for anyone else, though. So Lola, who spent her entire time training with fucking warriors, like, she never uses the lasso to loop the ball back, you know, and get it. Like, she never busts out a fucking sword or, like, does any, like, I don't know, Wonder Woman shit. She doesn't mention her Wonder Woman training once after they leave Wonder Woman land. And it's like, and again, it's like, now that I've kind of talked about like what the big problem is, it's like you can start to see that kind of overarching issue, the missing link starts to cascade into all of the other aspects of this film, because then you start asking questions like wait a minute, like, why was Wile E. Coyote in Mad Max land instead of, just as an example, like Rick and Morty land? Why was he in and I get like desert, like that's the only thing I can think of is like a desert, like he was there because desert. But it's like, if we want to make a film or tell a story that reinforces the main arc of the narrative, which is the LeBron James arc with his son, then, and it's not even just that, right? Because there's a double. So it's like, not only do we want to reinforce the main thematic arc, which is of LeBron James and his son, and the idea of letting people be themselves and letting his son like do the computer thing instead of the basketball thing, but we want to introduce a new generation to the wonderful world of Warner Brothers Entertainment, right? If that's what we want to do, the best way to go about doing that and keep the actual like integrity of the film that we have intact is to pick locations for reasons, basically, right? Like, pick locations for reasons. This isn't just about making references and going from place to place and like, oh, do you remember this? Oh, do you remember that? Oh, do you remember this, right? Pick places that are character specific. pick places that that, what word was I trying to say? Like, pick places that pick places that the characters can learn something from, right? So when Wile E. Coyote picks a place, because that's ultimately what it is that they're going to these places for, right? They're going to these places to do them. That's what they should be doing, but instead you can tell that they came up with the reference first and then kind of worked back from that. So Elmer Fudd is Mini-Me. It's like, why is Elmer Fudd Mini-Me? What does this have to do with anything? Nothing, right? They just, I don't know, he's bald and short, so Mini-Me. And Sylvester can be the cat, I guess. Fuck it. But it's like, instead of doing that, right, Wile E. Coyote has a want. He has a thing that he wants. And he wants to make machines. That's what he does. He's an inventor. Except his machines always break. That's the whole point of the cartoon, right? So what do? We'll take Wile E. Coyote, and we own Rick and Morty now. We have Rick and Morty in the movie. Maybe he goes to Rick and Morty. He goes to Rick and Morty land and learns from Rick to make machines that don't work. To make machines that do work. And then at the end of the movie, when he's building the machine, the basketball machine that scores them a bunch of points, it's like, he did it. He learned something. He went to a place and gained knowledge and then used that knowledge to win the basketball game. And Bugs, whose arc is to learn that he is holding his friends back by, keeping them in Looney Tunes land and not forcing. I don't want to make it sound like he's like, get back to work. Like, I want more duck season. Like, he's holding them back for selfish reasons, right? He's maintaining the status quo for selfish reasons, because he feels threatened, because without them, what does he have, right? He sees what they have learned and how they have grown as people, and he learns something about himself and about them, and like, oh wow, like, look at this incredible thing. It's literally like Into the Spider-Verse, right? When the dad is talking to his son for the first time, and he's like, there's this spark in you, and like, I didn't see it at first, but like, I endorse it, right? I want you to grow that spark. It's like that. That's the arc for Bugs, is he's been holding his friends back, and now he has come to realize that he needs to let them be them and to grow as people and allow them to be their own individual characters, right? Just like LeBron James needs to do with his son. So when we see them at the end of the game, it's like and by they I mean the writers, understand that this is the time where they use their Looney Tune qualities to win the basketball game. But what they don't seem to understand is that they need to, is that one, there's a double arc that needs to be fulfilled here, the Bugs arc and the LeBron arc, and that they need to set all of these things up in the second act. That's your second act, right? Your second act is going to each one of these places and grabbing a Looney Tunes member, but not just grabbing them, convincing them. And that's another thing that I think could have been done better. And obviously we're getting a montage at some point because it's a lot of them, but there are a few core ones that I feel need to be convinced. And that, reinforces the Bugs arc, right? That you can't just show up and go, hey, come with us, and then they say yes, because there's no conflict there. You need to show up and they go, whoa, 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 whoa. No, we left on purpose and for a reason, and you need to actually convince me to go with you. And that forces Bugs to kind of fess up to what he did, right? That basically he did what LeBron did with his son, and they rejected him for it, just like LeBron's son rejects him for it, right? And that's the algae rhythm, like, connection, right? That algae rhythm plays on. Exactly, right? Because it's like, you're my best friend. It's like even more than Lola, kind of. It's like Daffy and Lola are the two. Yeah, exactly. Like Lola and Daffy would be the two big ones that need to be convinced, and probably after that, we can just go to each place and we get the montage, right? But that's the emotional heart of the film. That that when you like, right, and when you think about like that scene, it's like, no, that scene would have made perfect sense in the context of the movie. Like him talking to Daffy and Lola probably, right? And going like, listen, you treat me like a sidekick. Like you treat me like like a tool. Like, and I'm always the one that gets hurt, right? I'm always the one that gets shot in the face or like has the thing like blow up on me. And I keep doing that and I never get any respect. And that's like a really Daffy thing, right? It's that's a really Daffy character moment. To kind of realize, well, I don't have to be that. And that's why he goes to DC Land. He goes to DC Land so that he can be the protagonist, so that he can be the hero, so that he can prove that things don't always go wrong. Like, I think literally Chuck Jones, the guy that made the Looney Tunes, just in case, like Chuck Jones said, like Daffy is Bugs if everything goes wrong, right? Like he's like where Bugs like does something and can kind of succeed in any situation, Daffy tries the same thing and fails, and that's like where the comedy comes from. So it's like him wanting to go out into the world separate from Bugs, and be the hero and be the protagonist, right? It's like that's like it's an interesting story. It's an interesting story to see. And for Bugs to show up and say, "Hey Daffy, like let's go," and it's like, "No, I don't. I'm doing this right now. Like I'm trying to figure out what I can do." And actually trying to convince him and having that heart to heart and bringing them on board. And it's the same with Lola, right? Like you don't treat me like an equal. You treat me like a sidekick. You treat everyone in your life like a sidekick. You treat everyone in your life like they are in service to you as like the main character of the universe. But we're not. We're our own characters. And we're going to go off to fucking Harry Potter land and Game of Thrones land and Rick and Morty land or whatever the fuck Warner Brothers bullshit, right? We're going to go off and do our own thing without you. And that's what we're going to do. And he needs to convince them to come back. And I feel like if you get Daffy and if you get Lola, it's like you can get, like, maybe they even try. Maybe they try to get Porky. Maybe they try to get Porky Pig. I don't know where he is. I don't know what Warner Brothers owns that has to do with rap music or, like, hip-hop or something, but that's where he is. He's on the streets. He's learning to fucking spit bars. He's learning to rap. And that is double, it helps with his stutter, but it also helps him with his self-deprecation or he's down on himself. He's not confident. It helps with his confidence. So he's learning to rap. And maybe they go to him first because it's like, he's going to be the easiest to get, right? He's a pushover. And they show up and Porky's Porky's like, fuck you. I don't give a fuck. I'm out here with the fucking homies. I'm learning to fucking rap. Like, I don't need this shit. I don't need you. Fuck you, Bugs. Get the fuck out of here. And they're like, oh shit. All right. Porky has changed. Let's go, I guess. Right. And then maybe they're like, we need Lola. Like, we need Lola and we need Daffy. They're a little sour with me. LeBron's like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, why? Porky hates you, dude. Like, what did you do to Porky? And Bugs is like, now might not be a great time. Like, I might have pissed a few people off, right? Let's try someone else. Like, if we can get Daffy and if we can get Lola, people who are more universally liked by my former friends, then like when they see that they are with us, like they'll be more likely to go with us, right? Porky will say fuck you to me. He probably won't say fuck you to Daffy. He probably won't say fuck you to Lola. No one will because they are actually good, right? If Bugs doesn't realize what he did, okay, yeah, that could work too. Yeah, I guess, we would need like an extra scene, or yeah. Because when he shows up, we would need an extra scene. That would probably be Lola's scene because, again, right? Remember when Lola was supposed to be like a good character or whatever? It's like, this is how you do it. And I hope that doesn't sound like, I don't know, conceited or like I am the god of storytelling, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't even feel like this isn't like, this is just, it's just what you do. Like, this is what it's in the story already. like, but yeah, that would probably be like Lola, because they don't really do anything with their relationship. But that would probably be Lola. Like, you don't even know why we're upset. Like, you don't even know what you did wrong, because like nothing, you never do anything wrong, right? Like, everything turns out great for you. Well, not this. Fuck you, Bugs. No, I don't know. She probably wouldn't say fuck you, Bugs, because she wants to help LeBron James get his son back. I don't know why. That happens in the movie where he's like, I need to get my son back. And she's like, huh? You need to get your son back? And then she like goes to help him. They never explain why those words are the words that get her to help them. But she agrees because she's a superhero, because she's been training with Wonder Woman, right? And she's doing the superhero thing, and that's ultimately why they end up. So it's like, fine, I'll come, but not for you. I'm coming to help LeBron get his son back. And then like Bugs can be like, yeah, why is everyone so upset? And it's like, you really don't know? Like, you were upset at you. You pushed us away, and then we just get on the same track as and that's taking the Bugs arc, connecting it, just jacking it in to the thematic core of the film, which is, people being too controlling, not letting people do them, not letting people be themselves, and through the core, you're connecting them. You're making Bugs a parallel to LeBron, because LeBron needs to learn this, and he learns it through watching the Bugs arc. And then we can go get Daffy from DC Land, where he's trying to be the protagonist. He's trying to be the hero. He's trying to not be, and then we get the like friend thing, and like Lola and Bugs can kind of like, kind of try to convince him. And it's like, it's way more emotional. And just because it's more emotional doesn't mean it's like more serious, or that we lose any of the like the comedy, right? Like, we can still have all the references. We can still play around in DC Land. We still get the funny parts of the movie, but the movie is made, like, the thing that separates it from, I don't know, what it is now, is that there's like a strong emotional core that is reinforcing the central theme of the film. Hello, Neon August. The gang's all here. I'm just saying all of the things that I said to you again, because I needed to. I wanted to geez, it is so hot. I wanted to like record like a normal video, like a normal review video, but I can't. I don't know how. I only know how to do these 6-hour-long rambly live streams. That's it. That's all I know how to do. So hopefully there's a market for that. But it is by tying the thematic core of the movie to the Bugs plotline and having Bugs operate as a parallel to LeBron, that we get a third act, because that's like what the second act is all about. The whole point of a second act is to expand upon the thematic foundation that is laid by the first act. And the whole point of the third act is to tie up all of those threads. And the best way to tie up all of those threads, and the reason, right, that Porky Pig, for example, needs to be in a rap place, and that making him an important character in the context of the narrative is important, is because at the end, when he gets his completely random and out of nowhere rap battle, right, we know where this is coming from. And when Daffy Duck goes to Porky, like, that's an emotional moment. One, because they needed Daffy to convince Porky to come on board and play the game with them, right? Because they are also best friends. Like, Daffy and Porky Pig, like, that they are, like, they, fucking 70 years ago, whenever, right? They were introduced, I almost want to say together, like Porky, like the Porky and Daffy, like they were a duo, I want to say before Bugs and Daffy were a duo, or were a pair. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like their history goes back further than Bugs and Daffy. I almost want to say the first Daffy Duck cartoon was alongside Porky Pig, and Porky was very different back then, but that's what my brain is telling me. I don't know if it's right or not. But it would be like an emotional thing, right? When he goes to Porky Pig and says, show them who you really are, Notorious P.I.G. It's a, oh yeah. Wait, they best pals? Edgy Looney Tunes reboot. What's the edgy one? I don't know what the edgy Looney Tunes reboot is. But I mean, they've been. Daffy did Porky dirty, and Porky came back as a bad guy. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the Looney Tunes show? The one that they're doing right now? The like modern day Looney Tunes reboot? Because I think they were enemies in the original ones. Like Daffy was like a madman, and Porky was like a, the straight man, which is how it usually is. But even, Lunatics. Oh, was Porky in that? Huh, I don't remember. That's really funny though, if it's true. I need to I think like literally the first video I put on this channel was like a Lunatics video. The edgy anime one. Yeah. Okay. No, I know that one. I know that one intimately. Yeah, that's like the first video I put on the channel. And at the end it's like, I'll do another one, and then I just never did. I'll come back to it. I'll come back around eventually. The second video was going to be like taking a few episodes and talking about them, but yeah, like they've been friends. I mean, think of Duck Dodgers in the 22nd century or whatever, right? Like they are paired together like a lot. So it would have meant something, is the point. And that's the problem, right? Like, now that there are more people here, I just want to reiterate that the biggest problem with this movie, the big takeaway, right, is that they had everything. They had everything they needed. They had so much material at their disposal, decades upon decades of media and context, like not just like connotation, but like cultural, like legacy at their disposal. And they could have used it to make a good movie, and not just like, throw this movie away and start from scratch, but literally with what they did in this movie, they could have had something great. They could have done something amazing. And it's like, I keep saying this, but I keep coming back to the fact that like Lord and Miller, like, understand this. They understand this at a level that I feel goes underappreciated. And every time they make a movie that people think isn't going to succeed, like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, how are you going to make a Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs movie? The book has no story, right? They blow everyone away. Like when Lego movie, how are you going to make a Lego movie? What Lego movie? The Legos, like there's no story there, right? They blow everyone away. How do they do it? They do it because they understand that in order to tell a good story, not just in order to tell a good story, but in order to tell a good story with the material that they're given, with like these licensed like kind of movies like Lego Movie, and even Spider-Man, right? You don't just make a movie that is made from Lego or like about Legos. And we read the first draft of the Lego Movie script that they scrapped, and then hey, I'm getting to the point where I can start plugging my old videos and what I'm saying. I got to be doing something right. But we did a read through of the entire like first draft of the Lego script, of the Lego Movie script, before the good one, right? And all of the things that they added reinforce the idea that they aren't right. Exactly. And I need to remember what the word is. I just keep calling it like a metatextual analysis. I don't know if I'm using any of those words right. But the thing that they do, it's like a not postmodern, but I don't know, whatever. Anyway, the thing that makes their movies great, movies like Lego Movie and movies like Into the Spider-Verse, is that they aren't just like, the Lego Movie isn't just about Legos, right? It's about Legos as a concept, as an idea, right? It's about creativity and how you use Legos and how you feel when you're a kid and you're using Legos to build these worlds. And that's in the movie. That is the movie, right? The movie is as Will Ferrell, like, as the dad, like, putting all the Legos down and making sure everything needs to be in its right place, and oh, you're mixing all my Legos, right? And then the kid trying to, like, be creative, and the dad kind of admonishing him for it. Like, it's about that. That's what the movie is at its core. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the best Spider-Man movie, isn't just about Spider-Man fucking around and fighting crime and shit, right? It's about Spider-Man as a concept, as an idea. It's like a metatextual analysis of what Spider-Man means to us. Who gets to be Spider-Man? What does Spider-Man mean to people, right? And talking about that through the lens of a Miles Morales story, right? That's what makes these movies so good. And if you want, and that's what they understand about, if you want to sell the product to someone, because that, let's be honest, is ultimately what these movies are for, right? The Lego movie is here because they sell Legos. But if you want to make that good, because if you came to me and said, we need a Lego movie, I'd be like, I don't know what to do with a Lego. I don't know what to do with a Lego movie. That's so vague. It could literally be anything. I don't know what that means or how to do it, right? But with them, it's like, well, let's think about what do people like about Legos, right? What do people like about Legos? We can take that and make it the thematic core of the movie, and then we build the rest of the world from that. What do people like about Spider-Man? What do people think about Spider-Man? What has Spider-Man's history been like over the course of the, right? We can do that. Anyone can be Spider-Man. Anyone, especially with the Sony thing, like when that James Franco, Seth Rogen movie where they assassinate Kim Jong-il. What was it called? The Interview? When that movie came out and Sony got hacked, there was that PowerPoint slide that basically said that Spider-Man couldn't be black. It was like, Spider-Man needs to be white, can't be gay, like, can't do any bad things unless he's in the black, you know. It was like a PowerPoint presentation to, or for anyone who was going to direct or make a Spider-Man movie, telling them what Spider-Man could and couldn't be. So for this movie, it's a metatextual analysis. It's not just about the world of the movie, it's about our world. Anyway, that's what makes these movies so good. So if you want to make a movie that isn't just about it's about Warner Brothers, right? The way that you do it is by not just choosing references at random, not just going, oh, Elmer Fudd is in Austin Powers, Wile E. Coyote is in Mad Max, Granny's in Matrix. Isn't it funny because she's old and she's in the Matrix? Get it? Matrix, remember the Matrix, right? You need to pick, and now my voice is starting to get tired. You need to pick franchises and movies that are character specific. You need to pick movies that resonate, that the character can actually learn from, right? That have narrative importance. Because in the movie, if you saw it, when they start going through the montage of all of these different places that they go to, it's completely random, for one, like the places themselves and the characters that they put in the places. To the point where you almost forget that they chose to be there, right? Like, they left Looney Tune Land to go to these places. And then it's like, why? Like, why did Sylvester choose to shave himself and become Dr. Evil's cat, right? Like, he didn't. They just thought it would be funny, so they did it, right? But if you put him in and it's like, he doesn't even need to be, you know, like we were saying, the three important ones, I think, are Lola, Daffy, and Porky Pig. I think those are the big story ones. And then everyone else can be a montage, but there are still a few important ones. Like Wile E. Coyote, I think definitely needs to be somewhere where he can learn to be a better inventor. And I think the best one for that would have been Rick and Morty. If they could get him for the cameo, maybe they could have gotten him. And again, it is still just a cameo. Like, we don't need to spend time in Rick and Morty place, but we see, like, you know, Wile E. Coyote twisting the thing and, like, doing Rick can be like, hey, good job. You did good. Anyway, get out of here, right? And then they go and he gets on the ship, right? And then when we see that he built the thing and it worked, like, it's good. Maybe you even get some Meeseeks in there to play the ball. I don't know. Like, he learned something. All of them learned something, right? And that's the arc. That's the Looney Tunes arc. And that arc is missing entirely. It's just not there. It is non-existent in Space Jam 2. But literally all of the pieces are there. Like, literally the premise of the film, the Looney Tunes go into all of these different WB properties. Like, it is there. It is literally in the premise that this will be the arc. When you have LeBron James talking to his son about like, no, you're not going to go to a video game camp. You're going to basketball camp, right? I am not allowing you to do the thing that you want to do because I want you to do the thing that I want you to do, right? Like, from that, as soon as we go to Looney Tunes land and Bugs is the only one, I'm thinking, oh, this is what they're gonna do, right? Bugs pushed all of the Looney Tunes away, and now he needs to learn the same thing that LeBron needs to learn. He needs to learn not to kind of force people to do what he wants to do, right? He also was like, no, I want you to do what I want you to do instead of what you want to do. And all of the Looney Tunes are off in Warner Brothers land trying to find themselves and do what they want to do in all of these different wacky, zany contexts. And then they just don't. But they kind of try to it's not even that they try to have their cake and eat it too. They try to eat their cake when they don't have a cake. There is no cake. So at the end of the movie, right? None of it matters. Like, Lola Bunny doesn't use any of what she learned. She never mentions the training that she got from Wonder Woman. Wile E. Coyote just builds the thing. He was in Mad Max land, so I guess it just never, like, that doesn't matter, right? It's like Porky Pig, he can just rap now. Like, they're like, rap battle time, and it's like, all right, I guess he's doing a rap battle now. And he can rap, he can do all that, right? That came out of nowhere. And it's like the only one that they did good with was Granny, because we saw that she was in Matrix Play. She did the Matrix thing again. But it's like, you have all of these things, and it's like, no, this is the time for them to incorporate what they learned from the Warner Brothers place, and we can play with the character relationships that we already know, like we said, Enbo's with Porky and Daffy, right, being friends, with Bugs and Daffy being friends, with Lola and Daffy being, like, dating or whatever, right? Like, this is the time for all of these emotional things that we built up in the second act to be like, paid off. And when Bugs sees his friends and sees how they've grown and sees what they've learned, and he sacrifices himself to win the basketball game, to activate the glitch and save them all from being deleted, that's a big moment. That's a big moment for him, because it shows that he's learned that they're, and it's like, it's kind of the reason I guess it's a big moment for me, or like it would be a big emotional moment for me, is because it's Bugs realizing that he is nothing without them. He is nothing without his friends. Like, he is nothing without the other Looney Tunes. That Bugs doesn't work by himself. He needs someone to play off of. He needs someone to be the straight man, right? He needs Daffy. He needs Elmer. He needs Yosemite. And if they are, and in this moment he realizes, right, if they are going off to, you know, live these other lives in the Warner Brothers places, what is there for him, right? Like, what is he gonna do? He has nothing else. It's just them. It's just playing off of these people. So he might as well sacrifice himself, right? If Lola's gonna spend the rest of her time in Amazonia, if Yosemite Sam likes his job playing piano in Casablanca, right? If Granny likes being in the Matrix, like, what is there for me? I'm by myself. I'm in the place alone, right? And it's not even like a sad thing, like I've lost my friends. That's what it is at the beginning. At the end, it's the realization that their lives are worth And this is going to sound really harsh, especially I'm literally wearing, you can't see it because it's on the back. This is the number 1. This is the Bugs jersey, all right? Like, Bugs Bunny is one of my favorite cartoon characters of all time, probably my favorite cartoon character of all time. But their lives, the lives of his friends, the lives of the other Looney Tunes are more important than his. And in that realization, he sacrifices himself by activating the glitch. And they're more important because they have showcased through this basketball game that they are capable of growth. They are capable of the growth that he is not incapable of, right? But that he doesn't feel at that moment he can achieve, because his happiness and his personality is so dependent on playing like kind of the wacky guy to some straight man, right? But everyone else has gone out into the world. They've traveled, they've grown, they've learned, and they've changed, and they've overcome like their adversity, like with Porky, right? And in that moment, he sacrifices himself, and it's a big moment because he has learned his lesson. But all of his friends come back and and they hold him, right, and they're like, dude, like, you know, like, it reaffirms their friendship. It reaffirms what they mean to each other. And you know, obviously they do the big fake out where he dies. And it's like, I don't know. That's the movie, right? Like, that's the movie. That's the whole point, right? Is it, right? Huh? Like, that's the movie. That's the completion of the arc. Instead, they do the part where Bugs sacrifices himself, but first of all, it's like, why? Why are you sacrificing yourself? Because LeBron is like, I'm not a cartoon, so I can't get deleted. And it's like, I don't know. From what I've seen of this movie so far, I believe it, right? But Bugs is like, I'm going to do it anyway. And it's like, I don't know if you needed to do that. Like, the emotional arc wasn't there. They didn't set up Bugs's arc. So when we get to the completion of the arc, it doesn't really register as the end of an arc because there wasn't one. I don't know what he's learning or what. I don't know why he needed to sacrifice himself. Like, why did it need to be him instead of anyone else? I don't know, because he's Bugs Bunny, I guess, right? But it's like, you know, if we had this whole story, and again, I just want to make it clear that nothing is, like, not much has changed. Like, things have been added, but this is literally just based on the pieces that are there, that were already there, that they already worked with, or they already presented to us. Like, when he does that, it's like a big thing, right? Yeah. And then it turns out that he didn't die because of reasons. I don't know. It, like, they really played it up too. And then it's just like, hello, I'm alive. Like, when he's like ascending into the sky, apparently that was not only not him dying, it was him leaving the serververse and taking all of the other Looney Tunes with him somehow. I don't know. Whatever. Fuck it. Space Jam 3. Who's ready? Woo! Next Space Jam. This time they're in Hollywood. Anyway. Okay. How's that? Does anyone understand what I'm saying anymore? One clap. So that makes it all worth it. That's what makes it all worth it. Geez. I'm trying to think, like, what else? Is there any other thing that I need to say about this movie? Because literally, like, that's the big thing. That's the reason that I don't like the movie. Like, and I feel like that's a pretty good reason. I feel like I've done a well enough job explaining why it's important and how the movie could have been better. Like, through very, very simple scenes that honestly should have been there anyway. Like, and that, like, it literally strengthens Lola Bunny the same way that it strengthened Bo Peep in the Toy Story movie, right? In Toy Story 4. Like, it because you, like, what you're doing is making them a thematic foil to the protagonist, right? And that strengthens them. It heightens their character and gives conflict to the movie. And honestly, there wasn't much conflict. And, like, all of the scenes that people are sharing on the internet, right? Of just, like, the tonal whiplash and the it's like, it does all of that, but way better. You pick a few places, and you can still have your big crowd at the end with all of the Easter eggs in it, but you pick a few places and you stay there, right? I don't know. It just seems like it would have been it's such an obvious choice to make, right? That if you want to sell the catalog of WB, the catalog that you choose from, the specific like movies that you pick need to be important to the characters. If they're important to the characters, then they're important to the narrative. And if they're important to the narrative, then they're important to us. And if you want to reintroduce an audience to all of this like back catalog that Warner Brothers has, then you need to make it important to us. Instead of just showing us Austin Powers. It's like, I like Austin Powers. I don't know why we're here right now, right? Like, you don't want the commercial to be met with confusion. Like, why are we here, right? But that's what they did. And it's weird because it's like, I think that the takeaway, oh wow, this is a lot of text. I don't want to read it. But I feel like the takeaway for so many people is going to be the reason this movie is bad is because they cared more about selling Warner Brothers, right? Selling the back catalog of Warner Brothers and showing off how many things they own than telling a good story. And I don't think that's true. I don't think... Well, it's hard to say because it's like, yes, Space Jam 2 is a Ready Player One cameo dumpster fire, but Ready Player One was always a cameo dumpster fire. Like, Space Jam 2 could have been more, and by all metrics should have been more, but wasn't somehow, and I don't understand it. I don't understand how it wasn't. It was so close to being more than that, and it feels like I said an hour ago, it feels like they made something that wasn't that. Like, I honestly believe that everything that I have said about like, well, they could have done this, they could have done that, I think they were going to. I think at one point, because it's too easy, like it's too much, it's too there, like it's too like obvious, like this is the arc that like this is what it's. I think they did it at some point, and then something happened, and they kicked Coogler and Ohanian like off the script writing team, or they took it and gave it to whatever. I think something happened. That's my truth. That's my conspiracy. All right. I think something happened. I think they were gonna do what I said, and then they decided not to for some reason. Maybe it was too emotional. Maybe they wanted it to be more fun. You know, maybe they hit it with that Powerpuff Girls treatment, but in the opposite direction, where they're just like, this is too good. We need you to make it worse. And then they brought on some other people to help make it worse, make it more funny, we need more memes, you know, like do more dumb shit. But okay, I just want to make sure that everything I said made sense. Do I need to say it all over again for someone? I am willing to repeat myself one more time before I leave, if it means that I keep having people watch me talk about Space Jam 2. If there are any questions about anything that I have said, including what did you say, then I will answer those questions. I'm not, and again, there is absolutely no proof of what I am saying. Not yet, anyway. So I don't want to, blame studio interference. But I feel like it's literally just a feeling I have in my gut, in my bones, in my heart, and in my brain too. That something happened to this script. Because like I said, it's just so obvious that this is the way they were going. But all of that got scooped out and replaced with nothing. Like, dude, remember the fucking MC Hammer thing? It's like, what is going on? Like, like what even is, who is this for? Like, where they're like talking about and he's like, that's some fancy footwork, doc, and then he starts doing the MC Hammer dance, and it's like, what is going on? Like, why are you, it's like, it's literally just referencing things for reference's sake, like it's like, this means nothing. It means nothing, and it didn't need to be this way. It could have meant something. And this is why, like, all of these people talking about like it's just a kids movie, dude. And like, let's be honest, like I totally understand that I am, putting more thought into this than I need to, obviously, but it's for the views. I'm doing it for the clicks. So that's my excuse, but for all of these people that are like, oh, it's just a kid's movie. It's like, first of all, like it's more important that it work because it's a kid's movie, I think. But second, it's not just a kid's movie. It's a movie, right? It's a movie, and you can watch the movie and see, like, this scene would hit a lot harder if they had done something, if they had told a story, if they had set up an arc, and I can give that arc. I can say like, hey, this is the arc that I think was going to be done, and I don't know. I guess it's not a. I don't know. Like I watch bad kids movies all the time. I saw Arctic Dogs in theaters. All right, and you can watch a movie just like any other movie and go, hey, the story could have been a little better. And I've seen kids movies that are great, like we were talking about. Lego Movie was great. That's a kids movie. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, that's the best Spider-Man movie, and it's the one that, I mean, by virtue of it being animated, I guess automatically makes it the most for kids. And that's why no one fucking saw it. That's why it grossed the lowest out of all of the Spider-Man. Even the really shit ones that shouldn't have made that much money. And now they're doing the whole multiverse thing, and it's like, well. What do we have here? All of them, I do not like any of them. So it's winning, but like with a D, with a D plus. But those are literally the only 3 movies I've seen all year. But I'll start seeing more now because the theaters are open, and I like going to the movie theater because I can't relax at home. I wouldn't even be doing this if I couldn't convince myself that it's for the betterment of my YouTube channel. Where are these? Hey, which one of you just disliked my video? Huh? What happened? I looked 2 seconds ago and it was 10 likes. And what? Why is everyone disliking my? Wait, hey, what is this? What happened? Did I say something? Did I say something bad? I can literally see everyone switching to dislikes. What happened? What did I do? What did I say? What? Okay, I guess everyone hates me now. I don't know what happened. Here, I will dislike the video too. This is my first ratio. Oh, is it because of the title of the video? It's it's probably because of the title of the video, huh? Oh, is it? I don't know. None of these people are explaining themselves. They're just disliking my video. I'm assuming it's because of the title. The title is very clickbaity. I thought it would be funny. And now I am paying the price for my hubris. Should I change it? I don't know. Should I change the title? I guess I've said everything that I have to say about it, unless one of these people disliking my videos has something to say to me. Do you actually think it's because of Mitchell's versus the Machines? Is that the thing? Again, I don't know. One of these people tell me what the issue is. Is it because of Mitchell's? I guess so. Everything was fine until I said that, so maybe you're right. Is this a Mitchell stream now? Should I talk about Mitchell's versus the Machines? Like, honestly though, okay. I was like, because I saw the movie and I thought like, oh, I want to do a review of Mitchell's versus the Machines. But then the love for the movie was so overwhelming, and I am not like, my opinions. Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure. I think it might be because of the title of the video. I forgot that I had named it that, and it is very clickbaity. So I understand if people are just like joining and then disliking it and then leaving. The idea was that it's like I don't know, like breaking news, you know, like the most important thing in the world is happening, right? Like Space Jam, I didn't like it, right? But I don't know. I can understand if people are just like joining and then going, fuck this guy, and then leaving, right? I might have set myself up for that. I'm paying the price. This is the when clickbait goes wrong. I can change it though.